Now when the time to come it's written, and will be each month and its month, and it's Shabbos and it's Shabbos. Yeah. And the end of the pasuk is Yavu Chol Basar Yishtachavos Ufanai. All flesh will come to bow down to me. Now, in the previous paragraph where it talks about the speech, the concept of Malchus on Rosh Chodesh and its elevation and so forth, or not. And so there was actually a ha'ara on the Shulei Hagiloyon. Shulei Amud B'Ksav Yad Kodesh Nimsao Teva Selewit says on the bottom of the Farshal Rosh Chodesh to explain that Itamar Melashon Itmar and so forth, to talk about the concept of the speech on Rosh Chodesh. Az kasher dibur hu laha as she'ena hadibur az kashar dibur, that the speech on Rosh Chodesh is not like the other speech. Hu laha ayir mamashikasa ben mincha chadash. You have to look up at the concept of the new mincha. So that's also connected to the idea of the dibur on Rosh Chodesh. But back in the Maamar, about the concept of Midi Chodesh B'Chodsho. V'tchila yesh levar Pirush Shabbos b'Shabbato. First we'll explain the idea of Shabbos in its Shabbos before Chodesh in its Chodesh. Kini Shabbos shel achar sheishes yemi ha'maisa. Because Shabbos, after the 6 days of action, the 6 days of the week, called Derech Marshal Aliyas HaSeichel, it's like the elevation of intellect. Shiyarad v'nislabish b'ha'maisa, that went down and was enclosed in the action. That it goes back up and is elevated and goes back into its root and source. So the intellect you use to do an action goes back up. And this intellect that came down and was enclosed in the act, that's the revelation of intellect. That at first, before it came down, you were free to understand and think about great things. And when you include it in a specific act, this is a descent and a contraction to that intellect. Therefore, when you go back upwards to the essence, in order to go back up, and then you can think about great things again. It's all a concept of revelation of intellect. So when your intellect goes back up, then it's revelation of intellect, that now your intellect can shine in a greater way and you can think about greater things. But it's known that there's a level that's higher than intellect, that's understood, an understood intellect. And what level is higher than that? It's called the beginning, the preface to intellect. Or hidden intellect, and it's higher than the understood intellect. So even as it is, before it comes down. Even Seichel HaMusag, before it comes down, this level is higher than that. Therefore, you can have the concept of intellect that's grasped go up to a level that's higher than intellect that's grasped at all. Back to Kadmus HaSeichel. And in the language of the Mikubalim, it's the elevation of the Sfiras HaChochma into Mochastima, into the hidden Chachma, into the hidden mind, or Chachma and Keser. And that's the concept. And that's the concept of the resting of Shabbos, that Shabbos itself rests. That Shabbos itself is the concept of Chachma, that Malchus goes up to Chachma. The Shabbos is Chachma as it is in itself. So that level itself of Shabbos is considered like a weekday. In comparison to the hidden Chachma. And the elevation of Chokhmah into the hidden Chokhmah, that's called the Shabbos in its Shabbos. Look what it says in Parshas Noach in the two concepts of Shabbos. Because it says Noach twice. Noach, Hila told us, Noach ish tzaddik. So Neichel Elyonim and Neichel Letachtonim, the Zohar says. That there's two levels of Noach. And look what it says in Vayakel about how Yom Kippur is a Shabbos Shabboson. It's a Shabbos, a rest of Shabbos. Also in Hazinu, where it talks about this, how Yom Kippur is Shabbos Shabboson. Or we could say that Shabbos Tatov, Shabbos Ilah, how there's a higher level of Shabbos and a lower level of Shabbos. That there isn't in each Shabbos. Like it says that you should guard my Shabboses. The lower level of Shabbos is usually the concept of the eating and the physical pleasures of it. And the higher level of Shabbos, the Shabbos Ilah, is the davening and the learning and so forth. So the main concept there, Shabbos B'Shabbato, is, according to that, is that the higher level of Shabbos should be revealed below. And so just like we explained Shabbos B'Shabbato, now you can also understand the concept of the Chodesh in its Chodesh, the Chodesh of the Chodesh, the renewal of the new, the source and beginning of the renewal of Ki Chodesh Hainu Masha Malchus Mikabel Les Memuchin Mechochma Bina, because the Chodesh is that Malchus now receives from the intellect of Chochma Bina. A descent, not an elevation. So what is the renewal of this? So if Chodesh itself is Chochma Bina going into Malchus to give it, so when Chochma and Bina themselves are renewed from their source, from Ak, so that's a Chidush of the Mechadesh. Levar said, to explain this thing, now it's explained that the 12 months, Hainu Yud Beis Sirufei Havaya, they are the 12 combinations of letters of Shem Havaya. Shebechol Chodesh Mekabeles Mitziruf Echad, mean Yud Beis Sirufim Hanal, that each month receives a different combination. We receive a different combination from one of the 12 combinations of Shem Havaya, Kamosh Kazu B'Pritz Chaim, and this is in the Kavanos of Musaf of Rosh Chodesh. Gam Isa B'Rai Mehem La Parshas Tetzei Daf Reishayin Zayin Sufam Beis B'Yud Beis Yorchin Dichsiv. So too in Rai Mehem La Parshas Tetzei, it says that you have these 12 months. And it's written, Omeid al Shnei Masar Ba'Kar Chulu, that the great sea in the temple of Shlomo was standing on 12 cattle. Yud Beis Bakarim B'Bria, and the 12 cattle correspond to a level in Bria. That in general the sea corresponds with Malchus, and Yud Beis Bakar, the Yud Beis Gvulei Lachson of Bria. The Kamosh Shikasu Bid Tor Orach Chaim Sim Taf Yud Zayin Shah Yud Beis Bid. I don't think that's Torah. Rosh Chodesh that the Rosh Chodesh corresponds with the 12 tribes Shem B'Rosh Habriya that are on the beginning of the world of Bria for sure, and who Yud Beis Gvulei Allah Shabbat Atzilus, and their root is within Atzilus, the 12 diagonal boundaries Shem Yud Beis Sirufei Havaya Hanal, which are the 12 combinations of the Shem Havaya. Now in the Perush of Sifra Ditzniusa to one of the students of the Arizal, it says the Shurash Yud Beis Chodashim Yud Gimel Midus Arachim, and that actually the source of the 12 months is from the 12 the 13 attributes of mercy, that are above Atzilus. Look over there. That, according to one explanation, it corresponds with Yud Beis Bakar, which are in Bria, which are rooted in Atzilus. And another explanation, it corresponds with the 12 attributes of mercy, or the 13 attributes of mercy, which are beyond Atzilus. Lekach b'chodesh Tishrei hu giloi v'tikun ve'emes tikun hashvi mid yimol tikun dikna darichan bin. That's when in Chodesh at Tishrei, it's revelation of tikun ve'emes, the true revelation of the essence of the. It's basically the corresponds with the cheeks that are without hair, that it's, so to speak, an or without a kli, the true light as it is, without a covering. And that's the concept of truth, to pull out the truth, to judge the world in truth, and to truly have the mercies revealed as they truly are. And that's certainly the renewal of the. So because it's such a high revelation, it's renewing all the months, renews all the months. It's the chidush shel chodesh, revelation of the source of the months. So if maybe perhaps it's the concept of the Yud Gimel Midos Rachmim is the root of the source of the Chodashim, like the Chidush Shel Chodesh, or maybe even this in Tishrei when it's the highest level. That's where it's the Chidush Shel Chodesh that the Yud Gimel Rachmim themselves are getting from their source, from where the true revelation of Tikkun Ve'emes and so forth. Kiarei Sheis Chadshus Yud Beis Sirufei Vaya, because the renewal of the 12 combinations of Shem Havaya Mikoro Me'achachma, that's rooted in Chachma. Shmisha Mekabel HaMalchus B'Rosh Chodesh Chulu, that's where Malchus gets on Rosh Chodesh. V'Chachma Ma'in Timatzei, and Chachma comes from Na'at, Abba ve'ima yom kin min mazolos darichan bin chulu, that Abba and Ima get nurturance from the mazolos of Nutzer v'Nakeh of the Yud Gimel Midos in Arichan Pin. That's your connection from the Yud Gimel Midos to the Chachma that comes down to Malchus on Rosh Chodesh. Look what it says, and how and his goodness he renews each day the works of creation and Likutei Torah and the Maimer Vayschan and Vaya that he supplicated to Hashem. Now in the time to come, you'll have the elevation of the worlds, and the revelation down in the world of Asiyah below here will be as it is now in the world of Atzilus. So if that's the case, the renewal of Rosh Chodesh lo yumshach me'bechinas Yud Beis Bakar Anal wouldn't be coming from the 12 cattle, because we'll already be on the level of Atzilus, higher than that. Kim yumshach me'bechinas Yud Gimel Tikuni Dikna Darichan Bin Atzilus. Rather, it'll come from the higher level, from the 13 strands of the beard, decorations of the beard of Arichan Pins of Atzilus. Misham yumshach hagilu lamata mamash. From there, you'll have a revelation below. Truly, midei chodesh b'chodesh of the each month in its month, or the month as it goes up to its source. That's why this pasuk is specifically talking about Lasid Lava. Oji Shlomar binyan acher. We can also say in another way, Kiarei Rosh Chodesh inyan chidush alavana, that Rosh Chodesh is the renewal of the moon. V'chinu gam lamayla liyas malchus shenikra alavana, so too, as it is as well above the elevation of Malchus, that's called the moon. In the time to come, it says that the light of the moon will be like the light of the sun. Like it says, my servant will be successful and will be until he goes very high. That's talking about Mashiach, which is also the concept of Malchus plays David, and so forth. It's the renewal of the moon. If so, it's understood, and that's also connected to the concept of Machar Chodesh V'Nifkarata, that David will be remembered on Rosh Chodesh. So imkin memele yuvan. So it's also automatically understood in Inyan Chidush Levan B'Rosh Chodesh, the renewal of the moon on Rosh Chodesh as yeh bebichnas Elyona la'ak memashu achshav, will be an elevation, a higher elevation up to ak from what it is now, which is the Yud Gimel Tikuni Dikna. It's the V'gav HaMeod up to Adam Kadma. Rein Dugmel is Zebedrush Birchos. Maybe it's connected to the concept of Adam David Mashiach. Is Rosh Hashanah Adam. The concept of the Giloi of Mashiach being an elevation up to Ak from the Yud Gimel Midos, the Yud Gimel Tikkunim of David's beers, so to speak. If so, we can also say in concerning Shabbos and its Shabbos, similarly, Indian Shabbos Mavur Lamaila. So we can have another viewpoint on Shabbos b'Shabbat that we explained above about Shabbos. Mavur Lamaila Shemesh b'Shabbos Tzedakah La'anim, that the sun on Shabbos is a charity for the poor. Yilei Mochin the Abba Bizah, which is a revelation of the Mochin of parts of Ava into Ziran Pinu Menu Mikabelas Anuk, and from it receives the feminine concept of Malchus, which is the poor. That's receiving from Zah, the Mochin of Abba. Now, in the time to come, it says that so if we already discussed the light of the moon, but it also says about the sun. The light of the sun will be 7 times, or Shivas Yamim, like the light of the 7 days. Like it says, the idea in another place that it's the light of the 7 days. That's what shines to the 7 days. That's higher than them. Perhaps that's what he's referring to. If so, it's understood that the sun on Shabbos, in the time to come, in case will be even greater, higher, infinitely Shabbos Ta'akshav than the Shabbos now. That's Shabbos B'Shabbato, and how this pasuk is talking Lasilav in the time to come.